Hey, welcome back to the Fantasy 15. This is your host, Steve Hoykla, and it's week 7 in the NFL. And I know that there was probably some doubt whether or not we'd be having this show today with the Fantasy 15. But if you have been checking either my social media on X or on Viking Central, I had posted that I'm actually here at Mayo in Rochester. um, Unfortunately, my daughter had to have a procedure here for her heart. Um, but so she had that procedure earlier today. She's actually, everything went well. She's actually upstairs sleeping. Everything went well, and I have nothing but the best things that I can say about all of the doctors, the nurses, and the staff at Mayo Clinic here in Rochester. So I just want to give them a shout out and say thank you from the bottom of my heart. And then uh, same to all of you out there, whether it be my family, friends, or even just followers that don't really even know me personally, but maybe you follow me on the Fantasy 15 or on Viking Central. I just want to say thank you for all of your thoughts, your prayers, your messages. It definitely means a lot to myself, my wife, and of course, my daughter, Harper. So thank you so much for those of you out there. Um, Now, with week 7 in the NFL, the Vikings are off of a bye week. I'm excited about that. But obviously, with fantasy football, it was wild last week. So we had a lot of big stats that got put up last week. So whether it be Bijan Robinson going off, or at the end of a game, Jamar Chase going off in a game that helped turn the tide for some people. We had huge games from um, Jacobs as well, too, running back in Green Bay. That was huge as well. Another big game from Rico Dowdle. So an exciting week 7 that we had, or sorry, week 6 that we had. So going into week 7, we're expecting some big things. Obviously, there's some huge games that we're going to talk about. I don't have, because I am actually in a hotel right now. I don't have my normal setup. So I want to say thank you to one of my friends, Jake, for helping me out a little bit with laptop, make sure that I had what I needed here to be able to bring you the Fantasy 15 this week as well. We have another great show with overtime guest Ryan Jones from contributor from Viking Central is joining us again. And so without the typical setup that I have, I don't have a clock for you. I will be setting the 15 minutes though, to try to keep my initial charts there before we end up doing our analysis on it. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump into week 7 of the Fantasy 15. So taking a look at NFL Week 7 schedule, some big games again. Like I said, Thursday night we got a lot of division rivalries in there too. But Pittsburgh Steelers and Cincinnati Bengals in the AFC North, they kick it off on Thursday. Pittsburgh's favored in that game, and obviously with Cincinnati the way they played, now they brought in Joe Flacco, and he made a little bit of a late run in the Packers game. But again, it wasn't enough. But at least they started to flow a little bit on offense. We'll see if that makes any difference here. But I'm definitely picking Pittsburgh in that game. Rams and Jacksonville. Um, Jacksonville got going a little bit with Brian Thomas Jr., which was great to see. But the Rams are a really tough defense. They had a good defensive week last week. Yes, Jacksonville's at home. But personally, I still like the Rams in that game. Saints and the Bears. It's at Chicago. Always a tough place to play. Again, Rattler versus the Bears defense. Williams and the Bears looking good on offense. I like the Bears. Miami at Cleveland. Miami at Cleveland's a tough game. And the reason I say that is just Cleveland has a really good defense, and Miami lost one of their key weapons this year. So not having Tyreek Hill really hurts them. Yes, they're going to have to rely on A Chain like they have been, and then also relying on Jalen Waddle and Darren Waller for a majority of their points. But that's really tough to do against Cleveland. Uh, Cleveland is favored in this game, but I do like Miami to be able to overcome some of those things. I just don't know if Cleveland has the firepower in this one. So I do like Miami in this game, even though Cleveland is favored. Um, but I do expect, Cleveland to be able to move the ball on the ground, and that's one factor that could be huge in this game with Judkins. The other thing that I will say is Raiders and Chiefs. Another game where Chiefs have a good defense. Genty has been um, mostly cold this season. He's had a couple of really good games, but Raiders at Kansas City, Gino has to get going in order to be competitive in this one. But I like the Chiefs. You got Rashid Rice that's coming back off the suspension. I like the Chiefs in this one. Might be tough in a division rivalry game to cover 12.5, but I do like the Chiefs in this one. Eagles at Minnesota. Really tough game here too to call. As a Vikings fan, it is at Minnesota, which is nice to see. But Eagles coming to Minnesota. Minnesota has had a tough time being able to stop the run or stop the run, if you will. And that's the Eagles' bread and butter. So it's really gonna be a game to see whether or not Minnesota can stop the biggest strength that the Eagles have. Saquon hasn't really got going, but they've been able to move the ball via the tush push, and we'll see what the NFL does there going into this game. And we'll actually be covering that game here this weekend, Saturday at 9 p.m. For our Viking Central pregame. But in that game, and I'm going to save my pick on that one of who I think is going to win that game for our Viking Central pregame show. Carolina Panthers at New York Jets. Panthers at New York. I will say that the Panthers had a really good game the last couple of weeks, especially Rico Dowdle on the ground at at New York. And actually, I kind of like the Panthers in this one. I know it's at New York. Fields did not look good last week. I do expect him to look a lot better. And but he lost Garrett Wilson as well in that game. He's not going to be playing. That's another weapon that they don't have, and the Panthers seem to be clicking. So I like the Panthers in that one. Giants Broncos. Jackson Dart at Denver, a tough place to play against a really good defense. Yeah, he's a rookie quarterback, but he's been playing well. It's tough not having all your weapons. Scatterbo's been going, but then you run into a brick wall, which is the Denver Broncos. Denver's favored by 6.5. Um, I kind of like New York in this game, even though Denver, it's at Denver. It's just a tough place to play, but somehow I feel like the Giants will be able to cover that at 6.5. Indianapolis at the Los Angeles Chargers. I like Indy in this game. LA may have Quentin Johnston back in this game, but McConkey's hidden. Vidal had a great game last week, but you run into the number 2 defense in the league right now, which is the Colts. And Indianapolis is, they're the number 1 offense right now too. So offense and defense are tops in the league, and that's a tough one. I like the Colts. Commanders at Dallas. I think Dallas has a lot of weapons with possibly getting CD Lamb back. They just seemingly Ferguson, Pickens, CD, and Javante Williams didn't have a good game last week, but he had been playing well. I think getting CD back helps a little bit too against Commander defense that arguably has been a little bit flimsy as well. I think Washington Dallas gets high scoring in that one, but I like Dallas. Packers Cardinals. Packers Cardinals again. Kyler Murray may be coming back, but is Kyler the best quarterback right now for Cardinals? Hard to say, but I like the Packers in this one. Falcons Niners. 49ers still aren't getting receivers back. They might have George Kittle back in this game. But Falcons, it's at San Francisco. Bijan Robinson, Penix looked good in that last game. I'm going to take the Falcons. Tampa Bay at Detroit. I'm going to take Detroit at home. They lost to Buka, and I know that somehow Baker Mayfield still finds a way. He may get Mike Evans back in that, which would be a big boon for the Buccaneers. But I like Detroit at home to have a bounce back game after that loss to Kansas City. Texans at Seattle. This may be one of the tougher games to pick. CJ Stroud looked like he finally found his form again from his rookie season. So we'll see if he can potentially have another repeat performance. But I do like the Seattle Seahawks in this one against Texans. Again, it's at home, so I like Seattle on bye week. I forgot to change the bye week. It's actually Baltimore and Buffalo that's actually on the bye week. So I forgot about that, changing that on the bottom. I apologize. All right, so moving on to our rankings that we have out there. My top ranking that I have this week at quarterback is Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott has been really solid this year, and he looks like he's going to have CD Lamb back. He's really flown with George Pickens. He's got the chemistry with Jake Ferguson, who's had back-to-back big games as well. So I do like Dak Prescott against one of the worst defenses in the league so far, at least scoring defense wise in Washington. Jaden Daniels, I like that against Dallas. Against Dallas is one of the worst defenses as well too. Those always seem to be shootouts, so I do like Jaden Daniels as well. Patrick Mahomes is getting Rashid Rice back, and he's been playing out of his mind as well. He had 4 touchdowns, 3 passing, and 1 running last week, and he's facing the Las Vegas Raiders. And again, they've been turning the ball over and putting other teams in good field position. It's at Kansas City, rivalry game, like Patrick Mahomes having a big game. That Tampa Bay game is going to be a shootout. So Goff and Mayfield, for me, those two are no-brainers. Rodgers at Cincinnati. That Cincinnati defense is a sieve. I think Pittsburgh could have a big game in that, and for Aaron Rodgers as well. Justin Herbert at Indy. Those could be one of those games where Justin Herbert just really comes out and has to sling it around. Because again, they have a really good defense, and it's going to be hard to run the ball consistently without having their 2 top running backs. We'll see if we have a repeat from Vidal, but we'll see. May, Darnold, Williams, you see there. Daniel Jones, he could, but I mean, again, when we're talking fantasy, man, they've really been getting the ball when they're in the red zone. Taylor's been the workhorse for them. So I don't like Hurts at Minnesota. Minnesota is one of the best pass defense teams. Again, he's gonna, Hurts always finds a way with his legs, whether it's with his legs or his arm. So I do expect him to get his, just matchup wise. Minnesota is getting healthy. They may have some defensive pieces back, with Blake Cashman maybe even returning to the lineup. Maybe Andrew Van Ginkel. Um, Fantasy wise, for the most part, I'd almost stay away from that game for a lot of individuals. Um, but we'll get into that. Justin Jefferson is definitely a caveat for that. Jordan Love at Arizona, Matt Stafford, and then again, CJ Stroud. Last time he scored about 28 points in half PPR leagues. Last time out, you had a bye week last week. We'll see what you do at Seattle. Okay, let's jump into the running backs. Okay, like I said, Taylor is a beast. When they're in the red zone, Jonathan Taylor, he's absolutely getting it done this year. Jonathan Taylor last week, he had 123 yards, a touchdown. He had 4 receptions, 14 yards. He's been a beast every week. Yeah, just Jonathan Taylor, man. He is the man. Bijan Robinson, it was hard not to put Bijan number 1 this week. And I only do that is because San Francisco has been decent against the run. Now, again, Bijan gets a lot of his points off of catches as well. So I do expect him to get his, but he may be limited a little bit more in the run. So that's just my thoughts on it. I still think he's going to have a great week. Again, he's number 2. It's just hard to put him over Jonathan Taylor, who's just been the epitome of consistency right now running the ball. So he's just on fire right now. I do think Josh Jacobs is going to have a really good game against Arizona, who struggles against the run. So I do like that matchup. And I think that Green Bay will do very well in scoring the ball and put Josh Jacobs in a lot of good situations this week. Christian McCaffrey, it's tough because he's going against an Atlanta defense. That is a tougher matchup for Christian McCaffrey, maybe on the ground. But again, Christian always gets his. He's a third down back. He gets a lot of pass catches as well, too. So I do expect him to rack up the points. I like Kyren Williams at Jacksonville. I think Quinshon Judkins is going to have a really good game, maybe even like a crazy game against Miami. he's one of those runners where if there's not a good run defense, I think he's gonna have a Rico Dowdle type game. I'm not saying 200 yards, but he's gonna have a big game, I think, against Miami. I like that matchup. If I have Quinshon Judkins, absolutely, I'm psyched about this week. Krosky Merritt, again, he's another one where he could have a really good game, kind of a sneaky good game. We saw Swift have a great game last week, and he's facing New Orleans defense, and it's at home. I love that matchup too for Swift. Gibbs at Tampa, I probably have them a lot lower than I maybe should in that one. And I just think when they get in the red zone, Montgomery ends up sniping him a lot lately. So Gibbs, I have him at 11, but I do think the potential is big for a huge game with Gibbs at Tampa Bay. Love that. Again, you see Rashad White up there. That's just one of those shootout type games that I think is going to be a little bit higher scoring. So I don't like A-Chain this week against Cleveland. Now, again, he gets points in half PPR leagues. He's getting catches because of what they're limited to with weapons. He's going to get touches. Just he's not super high on my board facing that tough Cleveland defense. So I think Dowdle struggles a little bit more this week after two really good weeks in a row. I mean, maybe he proves me wrong. But again, going against a tougher Jets team against the run, we'll see what he does. Okay, moving on to the wide receiver rankings that we have this week. Topping my leaderboard again for 2 weeks in a row now is Jackson Smith and Njigba of Seattle. So last week had a huge game. I had him number one, and he was number one. He had 8 receptions for 162 yards and 1 touchdown. Great game. He's facing Houston this week. I expect a little bit more of the same that we have seen out of him. High volume for targets, so he's going to get those touches and catches. I expect a near 100+ yard game. So we'll see if he gets that touchdown for the cherry on top again. But I expect him. He's going to get those targets. Devontae Adams at number 2 with no Puka Nacua. Devontae Adams, he could have had a really big game last week, but he had some drops and dropped a touchdown last week too. I expect, and Ryan's. I can see Ryan with his comment in the background. We'll get to that. He's reminding me, because I just got done saying that Puka got hurt. That's why JSN was number 1. I don't know if Puka would have got 162 yards receiving, but Puka getting hurt did hurt my quarterback pick last week, which was Matt Stafford. But again, Devontae Adams, he is the pure number 1 this week. So I like that. I think St. Brown versus Tampa, again, one of those shootout type games. I like Justin Jefferson versus Philly. They've made again, he's been doing great things with Carson Wentz. Now, this could be controversial because, again, we don't know who's starting at quarterback definitively for Minnesota. Is it JJ McCarthy? Is it Carson Wentz? I think regardless, they're going to get Justin Jefferson the ball. I do like, for you Viking fans out there, I do like Justin Jefferson more right now with Carson Wentz at quarterback than I do JJ. And that's just because we haven't seen the volume of yards being thrown yet with JJ McCarthy at quarterback. Okay. That's all I'm saying. I do think CeeDee Lamb, if he's back, could have a really big game against Washington. Love that. Udunze's been playing well. Mike Evans, if he is back, in the game, he's number 1 Noah Buka. Love that in Detroit. McConkey's been hot lately, especially if there's no Quinn Johnston. I like Ladd McConkey versus Indiana. I think Sutton has a bounce back game against the Giants. Samuel's going to get a lot of work, especially if there's no Scary Terry going against Dallas. So we'll see. I don't think Tashara McMillan, he had 2 touchdowns. He only had 3 catches last week. So the 2 touchdowns really saved him last week. So we'll see if the volume picks back up for him. He's got a tough matchup in the Jets. So I have him a little bit lower. this week at number 12. I like him, but I don't love him this week. Brian Thomas Jr. You had a big game last week and a touchdown, so he had over 100 yards and touchdown. Or sorry, 90 yards and touchdown. I like you, but I don't love you. You got to show me some consistency between you and Trevor Lawrence before I trust you more. Pickens with if CD Lamb is back. If CD Lamb's not back, George Pickens, hey, he replaces him. Replaces CD Lamb for me. George Pickens, his chemistry with Dak Prescott's amazing. That's great, but with CD Lamb back, there's no confusion as far as who's the number one receiver on that team and who the favorite target is. That's CD Lamb. So that's my top 15 for receivers, and we'll go ahead and move on to our tight ends. Okay, tight ends, taking back the spot is Trey McBride. Trey McBride had 8 receptions, huge game last week for a tight end, huge game, 72 yards and touchdown. The dude just gets volume. He gets targets. It doesn't matter who's at quarterback. Kyler Murray wasn't the quarterback last week, and guess what? My man's still getting his targets. He's still getting his catches. Tyler Warren had a great game last week. He's my guy at number 2 against the Chargers. I got Ferguson at 3. Now, Ferguson, the touchdown kind of saved him last week. So he still had a decent game. He had 10.8 points in a half PPR league. I like him again this week. He just didn't get as many targets last week. But again, love him. He's always a target in the end zone to get that. Go to Minnesota, Laporta. Love Laporta versus Tampa Bay. Again, huge game there. Tucker Kraft, he's kind of one of those boomer bust guys at times. Just because Green Bay kind of rotates who's going to be the leading receiver, who's getting the targets, catches each week. So it's kind of hard to predict with Green Bay, but you got to have Tucker Kraft in there. When he's healthy and he's playing, you got to cover him on the field. George Kittle, if he's back and healthy, I like him a lot. Don't love him, but George Kittle being back, I do think that Tongas is still going to be rotated in and get some catches. So I don't think Tongas is useless if you picked him up. But with Kittle getting back, he's going to be the primary target coming back. So when healthy, he was, a top 3 tight end. But, is he truly 100% healthy? So we'll see that. Kelsey, Las Vegas, no Brock Bowers again this week. Mayer did a good job. He had 50 yards off 5 catches and touchdown last week for Vegas against KC. Still like him in that. I do love the Ertz matchup against Dallas. He had a touchdown last week and lots of targets and catches there too. Again, if there's no Scary Terry again this week with Terry McLaurin being out, Zach Ertz, his targets and his value goes up. Okay, and then you can see the rest of the tight ends rounding out. We're going to go ahead and move on to the kickers. And with kickers, again, I'm just looking for the volume. So Jake Bates, Chase McLaughlin, that's a key matchup this week between. It's probably like the key game that's happening this week is that Detroit Tampa Bay game. That's going to be an exciting one to watch. I think an explosive offensive game there. So I like a lot of kicks coming from those 2 guys. You got Little from Jacksonville against the Rams. Like Brandon Aubrey's up there. Nick Folk versus Denver. Denver showed last week. He made the Jets kick a ton of field goals last week. I didn't change that, did I? Sure didn't. The Jets. So that's one thing that I forgot to change. So Nick Folk, it should be against Carolina, is what I like. Nick Folk versus Carolina. Again, kicking a lot of field goals because, again, moving the ball in the red zone. I just don't trust Fields and Jets right now. So Dicker, Gay. I like the Washington Dallas matchup again too for kickers. Smith versus Miami. I like that. That's a Browns kicker. And again, just red zone attempts. Is it something that we really trust the Browns to be effective in the red zone? But they're going against a really bad defense. So possibly a lot of field goals in that game. And that's, entirely the reason why Patterson's on that list as well too against Cleveland. I do like probably an underrated kicker is a Grupe from New Orleans going against Chicago. Had a great week last week also. So probably should be higher than what it is. But I like him as a kicker option too, going against Chicago. So kind of a sneakier pick. I know I have him at 14, but I probably like him more than, it should be. It makes me a little bit nervous with still Spencer Rattler there. But I do really kind of like him this week as well. All right, going on to our defenses this week. And again, this is purely matchup related. I mean, I'm not saying they're the greatest defense in the world. I'm not saying they're the worst. I just really like the matchup for this New England Patriot defense. They're going against the Tennessee Titans. Cam Ward struggling a little bit. So I really do like that matchup. I have the Chiefs versus a struggling Las Vegas Raiders team. The Packers, Arizona, again, a backup quarterback situation potentially there. And then Broncos versus the New York Giants. The Broncos are a really good defense. And we will just really see what Jackson Dart is made of this week facing that Broncos defense. They're lucky that they get them at home. We'll see what Joe Flacco is made of going against the Steelers. Again, is there more chemistry that was built this week? We'll see. Kind of rounding it out, some key ones that Giants at Denver. Again, Denver struggled last week too on offense, so that Giants defense might be a sneakier pick as well. So we'll kind of see how that one works out. Panthers at New York Jets. Jets were god awful last week, so that could be a good pick for you too. Playing the Panthers, it is in New York. So that does give them a leg up. And the Panthers are one of those teams that, can kind of Jekyll or Hyde you. Yeah, they shut out the Falcons 30-0. So they're one of those teams that you just have to look out for. With that being said, that's what I have for my Fantasy 15 for my 15 charts. A little over 15 minutes this week, but no timer clock for you this time. I was trying to keep track best I could for you down here. But we'll go ahead and move into our overtime segment and welcome in our overtime guest, Ryan Jones.
Hey,
Ryan, how are we doing?
Hey, doing awesome. But first and foremost, let me be one of the first to say I am so happy to hear that Harper surgery went well, and your Harper and your family are definitely in our thoughts and prayers, and pretty awesome of you to still make time to do this for the people. And yeah, man, just all the best, well wishes, and yeah.
Love everyone. Appreciated all the thoughts, prayers, messages you were sending me too, Ryan. I appreciate everyone kind of reaching out and showing their support too for my family and of course my daughter. So week 7, Fantasy 15. We're adding in some new things this week.
Hey.
Best bets that we have for us. So I kind of covered some of the games already, but now what Ryan and I are trying to add this week is a little bit more. Ryan kind of touched on it a little bit last week too, with over and unders and trying to go with here. Let me just pull up Ryan's week 7 best bets.
Let's go.
So the spreads and the over-unders that you were covering last week, we decided to actually start keeping our record and picking 5 games that we really like. Now, again, this is who we are betting on. This isn't who we're telling you to bet on.
Right on.
But again, this is what we like for the different spreads and over-unders. Ryan, I'll let you go ahead and start it throughout the rest of the season. We'll go ahead and we'll kind of keep the records of the ones that we got right and wrong.
Yeah, no doubt. So you touched on it last week. We kind of just ran down the list, and I said who I liked versus the spread. But I didn't even go back and see how well I really did. I know there were some games I said, if I gun to my head, I would pick this, but I probably wouldn't bet on the game, this, that, and the other. So so instead, let's pick the 5 games that I like the best. So, and these are that. So first and foremost, you see the Jets plus 1.5 over the Carolina Panthers. And I know, Panthers have looked pretty good. And Hang on.
You went dark. You went
Hang
dark.
on. My cat just stepped on the light switch. All right. We good?
We're good. Ryan,
All
you're no
right.
longer in night vision mode.
Jesus. All right. So, my wife's cat. It's a crazy thing. So, Jets plus 1.5 over the Panthers. The reason why I like this game so much it is pretty simple. Going back to, I think it was like 2021, honestly, as favorites, the Panthers are 0 and everything, like 0 and 9 in their last 9 games as favorites, and it dates all the way back to like 2021. So anytime the Panthers are favorites, they lose. So I'm a guy, I stick with trends. I think the trend continues. The Jets, they got something to prove. Their coach is already under the gun, first year head coach. And yeah, I think they're going to dial some up this week. So I like them to be able to cover against the Panthers.
Okay.
Go into the Patriots game. I like the over 42.5. So the Patriots, oddly enough, which is crazy, the Patriots have had over unders of 42, exactly 42.5, 2 other games. They absolutely smashed that over in both those games. 42.5 again. You know what? Like I said, I like the trends. Let's take the over. I mean, overall, too, I just think there's going to be some points scored. Tennessee just fired their coach. They're, again, one of those kind of ordeals. You see it all the time in the NFL. Like, I think it happened even when Jeff Saturday took over for the Colts way back in the day. And shoot, they almost came into Minnesota and beat Minnesota. But Minnesota needed a 33-point comeback back in 2022. But, they look good for like the first 2 weeks. And when you fire a coach, usually an interim coach comes in, the team feels a new vibe, a new fresh, and they come in and they come out hot and they play well. So I think they're going to have a game plan together to at least score some points. I like the Patriots game, but I do think there will be points scored. So take the over in that. Commanders, Cowboys. This is my fun over game. I think Dallas is 4-2 in hitting overs this year. So, and just, I don't know. Dallas can't stop anyone. Washington's defense isn't the greatest either, but both teams can score. So, you know what? It's a big over, but let's just have some fun. It's a game I want that I want to see just fun. I want to see points scored.
And I absolutely think it will. I think that's probably a good over bet.
Yeah, it's my fun game of the week. So, and you're not going to see me ever put a bunch of mini unders on here. If I think the under is going to hit, I probably won't include it in like my top bet unless I just think it's like an easy layup. Just because who wants to bet unders, man? Unders aren't fun to bet. But having said that, real bettors know sometimes you got to bet unders because it's just the easy bet. So anyway, but for the purpose of this segment, let's stick with overs. Dolphins plus 2.5 versus Cleveland. At first glance, I was thinking, Cleveland's only favored by 2.5 versus Miami. Kind of like them in this game. Dug into it a little more. Looked at Miami's record as underdogs. Looked at Cleveland's record as favorites, as home favorites, and without knowing exactly what it was, all that research led me to pick Miami to cover in this game. And then Colts Chargers. I mean, in my opinion, I kind of like Colts money line. I just think that this game in general, the Colts have looked like one of the better teams in the NFL. Daniel Jones playing like an MVP, and the Chargers offensive line is hurting, and I think that just those factors alone right there kind of lead me to pick the Colts plus 1.5. Colts are 4-2 versus the spread this year. I like them to pull another win off this week. I think they're 4-2. I should probably double check that before I say it.
I believe you're right.
Sounds right. What do we got? Cool. Colts +1, 4-2 versus spread. Yes. So yes, I like Indy to cover. That's
All
it.
right.
Those are my 5.
I do like your Washington Commanders Dallas Cowboy over. I think that one's a really good one. I don't know if I'm on board with your first two. I would probably go the opposite way on both. And that's just because I think the Patriots and just Tennessee struggling. We'll see with the new coach, stepping in there if that changes anything. But I'm hoping, being that I have the Patriots as my number one defense, that they're limiting the Titans a little bit in this game. And then the Panthers, the Jets again. That can go either way. To be honest, I like Carolina in that game. But yeah, uh, I do like your Dolphins, Browns pick. I like the Colts and Chargers pick as well. So I'm
Have
with
you
you
looked
on
at
3 of the 5 for sure.
Have you looked at how the Panthers do on the road versus at home? They
No,
they
no,
they are
no.
home team merchants.
Yeah, yeah. It's a new
They are
season,
not
so
good
we'll
on the
see.
road. I'm talking about even this year though. Like they win at
So,
home, they don't win on the road.
so we have some of the same games that we're picking.
Oh, here we
I'm
go.
starting off with the Saints and the Chicago Bears. I do like the Chicago Bears. You know, doing more than that 5.5 points. So I like them getting at least that 5.5. I like the Bears in that one. And they had a good game last week against the Commanders. I was picking them in that game to have that upset over the Commanders. And I think they're playing a weaker team in the Saints. It's at Chicago. I just like that matchup. Their offense seems to be hitting at the right time. They do have a good defense, and we'll see if the Saints are able to. Again, it's a span. I'm always leery of that Spencer Rattler led offense that the Saints have. The New England Patriots, the Titans. I kind of already explained that one to you as far as why I like the Patriots. Drake May is playing well. Going against Tennessee Titans, where again rookie quarterback Cam Ward struggling a little bit last week. Only had 10 points. Fire your coach. Get a new coach coming in. Yes, it's at Tennessee, but the Patriots seem to be playing really well. Good ball right now. So I'd like New England to cover that 7.5. The over that I'm taking that I think is the other explosive game of the week, and I really like your Dallas Washington one. I think that one, you're right, that is going to be a fun one. Another
It's
one that I
like
think is going to be fun is this Tampa Bay Detroit Lion game, and I like that over a 52, 52.5. That should be nothing for these two teams. I'm actually surprised that the over is not closer to like 58 or 59 for this game. Um, I just think this is going to be one of those games where it's going to be like a 31-30 type shootout.
yeah, yeah.
That's kind of
I
what
can
I'm
see it.
expecting in that Detroit Buccaneers game. New York Giants and Broncos. Now, this is probably one that you hate. This is a risky one. This could go either way because this could totally burn me as well. But I like what the Giants are doing. Denver seems to be struggling. I mean, that's another Jekyll and Hyde team. Yes, the defense is great, um, but the offense has not really been consistent at all. We saw that last week in the game that they absolutely dominated on the defensive side of the ball. They faced the Jets to where the Jets couldn't even complete a pass on third down or even just gain a first down. But luckily, they were in the right field position every game to be able to kick field goals and stay in it. And they almost won that game in a game that they had no business even being. So that's kind of where I'm at this one. So, and then the Indianapolis Colts, you and I are both on the same page that one. I really like the Colts in this matchup, at least with that 1.5. So I'm taking the Colts with that plus 1.5. Now I'm going to go ahead and let you go ahead and tell me which ones you absolutely hate or like in this one.
No, I mean the Giants Broncos one is the only one I maybe question a little bit, but that's only
Yeah,
but
fair.
but I also don't hate it because I do think it'll be a low scoring game. Like that might be a game you take the under in. When you look at the Broncos, they lead the NFL in sacks, and it's really
Hmm.
not even close. Like the next closest team is nowhere near. And while the Giants offensive line has been pretty solid, the Giants on the defensive side of the ball also have a dominant defensive line. So seeing that and two young quarterbacks who really, while Jackson Dart has looked exciting and Bo Nix had exciting, had some times, especially last year, where he looked exciting. I think it's going to be a very defensive line dominant game. I think there's going to be a bunch of sacks, probably, and if not a lot of sacks, it's going to be heavy on the run game, which is going to make the clock run a lot more, which will lead to fewer points. So while I won't be betting that game plus 6.5, just because Giants are on the road, I don't know. I can see it. And then I love Bucks Lions over that game. That's your fover, your fun over. Just like I have mine. And then Patriots Titans -7.5. That's just I don't know. I get weary when there's uncertainties, and Tennessee has a few uncertainties going into this game just because with the new coach stepping in and all that. So that's the only thing I worry about when it comes to that. And that's why I kind of veered away from that game, to be honest.
Sure.
I like the Bears -5.5. If I bet that game, I'm taking Bears -5.5 also. So, yeah. And then obviously, yeah, Colts, Chargers. I would not be surprised one bit if that line flips before by kickoff time.
Absolutely could. If Quentin Johnston's back in that game, maybe it's a closer of a toss up to where it's now maybe Chargers are favored. Again, it's at home.
Well, Chargers are favored 1.5. So, I mean, that's why
Correct.
they're favored, because they're at home and it's
sorry, I apologize. Yeah. Chargers are favored, but maybe Chargers are favored by more. Sorry. I messed that up.
I don't know. I think a lot of money is going to come in on the Colts for this game, and you might see that line flip before kickoff on Sunday. I mean, I won't be surprised anyway. I could see it.
So now we're gonna kind of jump into kind of the injury report as far as notable ones for this week. We did have, like I talked about already, we did have CeeDee Lamb that's coming back, and I do think that's a notable one for us is CeeDee Lamb coming back. Rashee Rice, he's off the suspension for the Chiefs. So two huge wide receivers that are coming back. You had Garrett Wilson that went down for the Jets. So that's another wide receiver that's out of the game. So two more come back, one more goes out. So wide receivers, it's a hard one. Probably Mike Evans comes back, but then they lose Amiga Ibuka. So, a lot of wide receivers switching in and out with different injuries and stuff going on. So that's always tough. But what are your thoughts with those different injuries, at least on the wide receiver spectrum?
Yeah, I mean, CD back is big for Dallas for sure. I mean, the dominance that we can see for the foreseeable future in that wide receiver room in Dallas is kind of scary because Pickens is either going to be a top probably 3, if not number 1, number 2 wide receiver in the NFL, or he's going to leave and be a number 1 somewhere and get paid a ton of money to do so. So, but if he sticks in Dallas, that combo is going to be scary for a long time. So CD coming back is huge. It looks like Terry McLaurin's going to be playing this week. I know he was limited in practice today, so that would be huge for Washington. It looks like Ibuka is going to be out, and Puka is going to miss a game. So that
Brock Bowers is out again.
Brock Bowers is out again, and Garrett Wilson being out. There's definitely
Puka.
People. You're kind of scraping part of your bench this week for sure. I mean, I think a lot of people are kind of in the same place. This is that kind of time of year where like injuries where if it was playoff time or if it was a do or die game toward the end of the season, some of these guys probably aren't missing the games, but because it's, we're getting into after that early part of the season, getting into like the next phase of games, you start seeing these kind of there's no reason for teams to risk any further injury on any of their players, so they make sure they sit out.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's just been a tough one for different injuries that we've had. I think you're still going to see injuries that are going to continue to have effects. We saw Bam Knight get the start over Michael Carter last week
It's like
for the
halfway
Arizona
through the
Cardinals.
game.
Yeah,
It
so I
was,
mean that was a weird one to
yeah.
where you thought Michael Carter had done enough, but apparently the Cardinals didn't like what they saw. Bam Knight all of a sudden got in there too. So some of those were, unless it's like a Rashad White type situation, maybe it's one where you don't take the risk, but then you have Vidal comes in last week with Omari and Hampton down and Najee Harris
Mhm.
down. He has a big week, but does he repeat that? You know, does he Rico Dowdle it and do a 2 for 2?
You're right.
Can Rico Dowdle sustain this for 3 weeks in a row? Now, I think Rico Dowdle is one where he has a better track record, at least on the
Yeah, for
injury
sure.
spectrum, and coming in as a backup, and so he's one that I like a little bit better. On the quarterback front, it looks like still probably no Brock Purdy again. Is kind of what I'm seeing. So.
Yeah.
Um, and then I know we'll talk about it more Saturday, but we don't know who's starting between Wentz and JJ McCarthy.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah, JJ
JJ
was
ankle back?
yeah, he was
Healthy.
limited at practice today, and Carson Wentz was a full participant. I don't know if that really means anything at this point in time. I
Hmm.
think you're probably just get. I mean, I don't think Kevin O'Connell is going to give the Eagles defense any kind of edge, and he's going to wait to the very last second to name who the starting quarterback is going to be. So, make them think about two different guys that they have to prepare for. It's not
Hmm.
terrible, but yeah, I don't think anyone's going to know until the apps like what is it, an hour before kickoff.
Uh,
Years or whatever.
Still, and I think Lamar Jackson is a possible. Is he a possible go this week that I saw? I
Don't they have a
think
bye?
Oh, sorry. You're right. They are in a bye this week.
Yeah.
But anyways, Lamar Jackson's one to kind of keep an eye. He was out last week, so maybe week 8, he's back. So I
Yeah.
apologize. You're right. He is on a bye. Um, all right. So we're gonna go ahead and get into some of your sit start questions that you guys have out there. I see a few in there already. Continue to send us any of the questions that you guys have as far as who to sit, who to start, different trades that maybe you've gotten offered or that you're thinking about offering to someone else. Go ahead and just throw those in comments. If you're not already following us on X, YouTube, if you're not following us as well on our TikTok or on Spotify, go ahead and please do that. But in your comments, go ahead and throw those. We are powered by Viking Central. So if you're following us through Viking Central on X, YouTube, or on Facebook as well, you can put those in the comments and we'll be able to get those. So we're going to go to top 5 KWA. I see your question. Let me just go ahead and put this comment down so I can pick up your question. He's in a half point PPR, Brian Thomas Jr. or Brees Hall. Now,
Brees Hall have
for
an injury designation.
so Brees Hall versus Brian Thomas Jr. You had Brian Thomas Jr. that finally got on the board. I believe he had 90 plus yards and a touchdown last week. I think he had 8 receptions off 10 targets.
Mhm.
Brees Hall, you had Garrett Wilson go down. And again, if Brees Hall is healthy and plays in this matchup, and this is just because of the consistency and the volume, I like the Brees Hall play better than Brian Thomas Jr. And that's only because of the consistency and just Brian Thomas Jr. has not really shown up on a week to week basis. He's really been silent. I'm hoping for a lot of owners. I'm one of them that has Brian Thomas Jr. I'd like to see him get more targets. Just for me, I like the fact that I know that Brees Hall is going to get the ball if he's playing. So I like Brees Hall getting the ball, whether it be catches or running the ball, which he was actually the only bright spot for the Jets last week against
Yeah,
a
I mean,
very
he
tough
had
Denver Broncos.
yeah. What did he have? Like 22 carries this week. So
He was
um,
trying to do it all himself, but honestly,
that
just to couldn't
defense is
complete first
stout.
downs, and Justin Fields was just getting sacked. He got sacked 9 times last week.
At times is crazy number, but yeah, no, I agree. I like Brees Hall versus Brian Thomas Jr. this week. Just again, like it really, what it boils down to is like how much more he's going to touch the ball.
He's got one more follow-up question, and he's wondering Love or Knicks. So we're talking Jordan Love, or do you like Knicks with the Broncos going this week? So Jordan Love is going against the Arizona Cardinals this week, and Knicks is going against the Giants. Bo Nix.
Yeah, I think I'd go Love here just because Bo Nix. I know you get more points. You have the potential of more points with Knicks running. However, I don't know, the Giants defense with that defensive line is it's going to be tough, and I think the Packers are going to have their way with the Cardinals. So I would go Love.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I like Love in this matchup. Knicks has been inconsistent as a quarterback so far this year, and that Giants defense isn't a cakewalk either. They're going to get some pressure on Bo Nix. So I do think if for some reason that Giants offense gets going, again, Bo Nix, he's going to have to be more accurate with his passes. He's going to have to get Cortland Sutton involved, which he didn't last week. He's just going to need to be better with the ball. Their running game wasn't going either last week. And again, they're facing a tougher Jets team last week, but there's some players on that Giants defense.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, look at that. Brian Burns, Thibodeau, Abdul Carter, and Dexter Lawrence all in the front. No, I don't want any part of that. Give me Jordan Love.
Yeah, so I just don't like the matchup. I like Jordan Love. Yep, we're both on the same page there. All right, Cole Jandrew, and I apologize if I'm butchering your last name. Says I just got offered Brees Hall for Vidal and Hampton. Should I accept?
And I really like Amari Hampton when he comes back. So how long is he out? I can't even remember.
Cole, can you let us know what kind of league this is? If this is a dynasty league, then I definitely like the trade. And it depends what options you have outside.
No, Hampton's not
outside of Brees Hall. No, I'm saying if it's a dynasty.
Yeah.
So if you got like 4 years and you're going to have, another 4 years of Hampton, and depending on who's on your bench. So there's some different things, but if this is like a 1-year redraft league, obviously I like Brees Hall better than Vidal, and you're not going to see Hampton the rest of the year. So I'm guessing if Hampton's including, this must be either a keeper league or a dynasty.
Well, no, I think they are saying Hampton might come back this year, but it won't be till like.
You might be right. Let me do some research while you're talking real quick.
But even so, even if it is, it's not going to be until late in the season. And that being the case, I don't think I would do it. Vidal, I think while he showed out and he looked pretty good, I think that he's still gonna kind of share that backfield a little bit. Whereas Brees Hall is that bell cow, he's the guy. And while the Chargers are a much better team than the Jets are really gonna focus on getting the run game going to try to make life a little bit easier for their quarterback. So I agree. I'd take Brees Hall.
So basically what I'm seeing, Omarion is projected around the 6 to 8 weeks mark is kind of what they're projecting him. So he's at least gone for 4 games with the IR, but 6 to 8 weeks. So let's just say it's the 8 week. We're looking. You're not going to get him back until right with fantasy playoffs.
Yeah, so, I guess like if your team is so stacked that you're not going to have any problems, you're going to be, in the playoffs like a top 2, maybe top 3 team in the playoffs with Brees Hall or Vidal. And then, to have Hampton come back for the playoff, but I don't know. I think it's riskier. I would stick with Hall.
Yeah. All right. Jason Ortiz says, will you trade Ladd, Myers, Swift for Nico and Harrison? So, and for Myers, I'm guessing he's talking about the tight end, Myers.
Yeah, that'd be my guess.
So he said his running backs are Barkley, Kyron Williams, Javante Williams with White and Rico spot starts. He's got good running backs. His wide receivers are London, Suddens, Evans, and Terry McLaurin. If it helps, I never started Myers, so he must have a better tight end available.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Jacoby Myers. Sorry, he's not talking about tight end Myers. He's not talking about Michael Mayer. Sorry, he's talking about Jacoby Myers.
Right. I really love Nico. It's kind of a lot to give up, just because that Swift is. I mean, but your running backs now, you have 3 running backs better than Swift, and if you can only start 3, which I imagine is the case, you probably 2 running backs in a flex. And even so, I would think Rico and White, but when Bucky comes back, White's not going to be really anything. That's a tough one. I think I would do it just because of Nico. And
I like the trade.
I really like Nico.
I would pull the trigger, I think. I like that trade. He's got really good running backs already. Swift's not going to hurt him to get rid of him. Jacoby Myers is just kind of. I mean, he's a de facto one for them.
Right.
Ladd, he's the one where you might be like, crap. I might regret that one.
Right.
With Ladd, does he really start to turn it on now? So that's the only one where it might be. But I mean, Nico is your for sure number one. I think Ladd, there's just some questions with a healthy Quentin Johnston, if whether or not Quentin, turned the corner. He was getting more targets. But Harrison and Nico are number ones on their team.
Yeah, for sure.
So you're getting 2 key number ones.
Yeah. Is Harrison out this week?
I think he might be questionable.
Okay. I mean, I like Nico Collins the rest of the year, so yeah, I would reluctantly do it probably. That one's tough. Yeah, I wouldn't blame you for not doing it, but it also would probably benefit you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's not a big injury, but it's a concussion, so he's in concussion protocol, so he's probably questionable to go this week. But I mean, it's nothing like he's got a hamstring or something like that. It might be like a 3-game thing. And again, concussions can sometimes be longer than a game as well too.
Sure.
But overall, I think we like that trade. I think is what I'm hearing you say as well, Ryan.
Yeah.
The next question I got is Extended Mags. He says, start 1 flex, Chase Brown or Dubs, Romeo Dubs this week.
Boy, Chase Brown has kind of sucked this year. Just saying. Fantasy, anyone who drafted him would agree. But Golden's getting a lot of targets now. I'd start Brown.
I like Chase Brown as well. For sure he's going to get
the
ball.
Him, but if I had to pick one of those,
yeah. I mean, it's just you're playing roulette with any Green Bay Packers receiver every week. So at least with Chase Brown, he's going to get the ball. He's going to get the touches, and you have that chance to the touchdown every week. And, he's going to get catches out of the backfield. So with that, I think Ryan and I are both on the same page with that one. We have another one from, man, you got a lot. You got a lot up here for top five KWA 11. Pick two.
What was that top five?
He says Sutton, Debo, and Brian Thomas Jr. Pick two between Sutton, Debo, and BTJ.
Debo for sure. And then
I like Debo this week.
Yeah, I like Debo this week. And then probably BTJ. Probably Brian Thomas Jr. this week.
Yeah, this one's a toss up, but after the success they had last week with BTJ, I think they're definitely going to make a concerted effort to get him involved. Again, I'm not 100% sold on BTJ. He needs to show me some more consistency, but he definitely has that it factor to where he can just have those blow up games as well too. So hopefully they can get him going to where he's a little bit more consistent as well. So looks like Ryan and I are probably on the same page. We would go Debo and BTJ. The next one we have, again, he's got one more here. Wandale or Dubs rest of the season.
How many
I'm in the
freaking
Wandale.
teams are you in, dude?
I'm in the Wandale camp between Romeo Dubs and that, and just Wandale is the number one now. You don't have anybody that's really competing. Maybe Slayton on that team is competing
Yeah.
for targets.
Slayton
So I think I like Wandale Robinson.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's just we alluded to it already. It's the Packers wide receivers are. I mean, honestly, I kind of like Matthew Golden the rest of this year for the Packers over all of them. So yeah, no, I like Wandale.
Extended mags. Should I replace Purdy for Darnold? Now, are you just talking about this week, extended mags, or are you talking about for some reason he's on the waiver, or because Purdy, I don't know if Purdy's playing this week. I
Yeah.
think that's still questionable of whether or not Brock Purdy's going to go this week. Let me check to see what I can find on that one.
Darnold's been slinging it. I like Darnold. I want to say he's like the 11th rated fantasy quarterback in PPR leagues. That PPR makes a difference for the quarterback, but he does have, like, you know, if your league gives you like bonus points for 40 and 50-yard touchdown passes, then I kind of stick with Darnold just because I think you're going to get a lot more of those with him than you are with Purdy. Not that you're going to get a ton, but I think they're close enough to where that makes a difference. I would take Darnold.
Yeah, so he just got done saying he's talking about the rest of the season. He just sent me a message. So yeah, so Brock Purdy, he's he's week to week. So there's no guarantee. And he's honestly, when he has been playing, Mac Jones has actually played better than he has so far this season too. And so there is a little bit of talk that over these next 2 years that we'll have to
soft benching.
Yeah, right. I mean, what's that? So there is a possibility that in say 2 years they move off of Brock Purdy and go with Mac Jones. But he said he's talking about the rest of the season. The rest of the season, I really think you got to go with Darnold. So if you're having to drop one of them for some reason, you definitely don't drop Darnold. Darnold's been playing really well this season. He's been very consistent. So between those two, we're both on the same page for Darnold. Jay comes back with another question. He's got 2 trades going down, full PPR for both. Let me know your thoughts. Rashid Shaheed for Stephon Diggs straight up, and Chase Brown, Matthew Golden for T. Higgins. Winner loss trades. Jay, what kind of league are you in? He said you're full PPR, but is it a dynasty or keeper, or is this a redraft league, Jay? If you can, I think that matters a little bit, especially the Rashid Shaheed, Stephon Diggs straight up. For me, that matters.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if it's just a redraft league, half PPR.
Yeah, redraft, he said.
Yeah, Shaheed for Diggs. I like that trade. I hate Brown and Golden for T Higgins. I wouldn't do that. I think Golden's upside is he's just starting to come into it, man, and I think Jordan Love's gonna love him. Like I don't know.
Yeah,
Me
if you're
personally, I like
talking,
Golden
yeah, if you're
too
talking about
much.
trading away Rashid Shaheed to get Stefan Diggs, I like that trade. If it's the other way around, I'd rather have Stefan Diggs this year than Rashid Shaheed. If we're talking about a redraft league, if it
Yeah,
was a dynasty, I like Rashid for the longer haul. Um, but as far as Chase Brown, Matthew Golden for T Higgins, being this a redraft league, I think you're giving up too much for a number two that doesn't have a quarterback rate. You got Joe Flacco. If he even continues to be the quarterback all the way through the rest of the year, we don't know if Joe Burrow is going to be back necessarily for fantasy football playoffs, because it was a 3 month planned, injury designation for Joe Burrow. So we'll really see. Now, if you were in a dynasty, that might make it maybe more enticing, but that's still tough. I mean,
yeah,
Chase Brown's a number one, and when he gets back Joe Burrow, and you have the threat of Jamar Chase and T Higgins on both sides with Joe Burrow, Chase
yeah,
Brown is effective and super valuable.
yeah,
Um, so with a redraft league, again, because you have at least two potential starters with that for T Higgins, who really has lost value
yeah.
right now with the quarterback, because the only one that really hasn't lost value on that Cincinnati Bengals team is Jamar Chase, because when they're in trouble or
Garbage
playing
time,
from behind, they force the ball to Jamar Chase.
right? Yeah, I wouldn't make that. I wouldn't trade Brown and Golden for Higgins. I would definitely keep both of them.
Absolutely. If you guys have any more questions, go ahead and send them our way. But we're going to go ahead and get into the next part of the show, which is our ultimate draft. So, our ultimate lineups. So, last week, you had both Ryan and I get into week 6, and week 6 was a super close one between Ryan and I. Honestly, I thought I was going down in this one, especially going into that last game on Monday Night Football. Ryan needed both Bajan Robinson and Jaden Daniels to just go off. He was about 58 points down. Um, we were kind of talking about it like, hey, if they have big games, you got a shot. And sure enough, then that 81-yard touchdown happened from Bijan Robinson. And I get the text, hey, for Ryan, because Ryan, like, hey, that glimmer of hope was there, that
Yeah,
hey, there was a chance. So he had a huge game, and then Jaden Daniels, unfortunate how this went down at the end of the Bears game, but Jaden Daniels has that fumble as they're driving, and then they don't end up getting the ball back, and that actually ended up, costing Ryan in this one. But
hmm
as far as the lineups go, I mean, we really had two pretty solid lineups. Puka hurt you getting hurt, and because Puka got hurt, that also made Matt Stafford struggle for me. But other than that, I mean, we both had really solid lineups all throughout. I think both of them
hmm
were really good lineups from each of us.
yeah, yeah. I mean, if you don't want to have to rely on defense to win, then you should probably just listen to me. But since whatever, I mean, come on. No, I'm just kidding. But it was funny because you texted me, what was it, like midway through the fourth quarter, toward the end of the fourth quarter, and you're like, you're still in this, and I'm like, oh, I know. But yeah, what an awesome week it turned out to be. And I I really thought that I had you, and then that fumble happened, and that was the nail in the coffin for me. But other than that, I mean, yeah, we both had really good picks. It was a good week overall offensively in the NFL. So it was a fun week of fantasy for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So I really got to say you put together a really good lineup. So You shouldn't hang your head on that one. You probably could have, should have had me, but in the end, you still take the L this week. But it's a new week, week 7. We'll see what happens this week because it's a fresh slate. So with this week's lineup in week 7, I got Dak Prescott as my number 1. And for my rankings, that I have, I'm for sure taking my number 1s that I tell you are my number 1s in my top 15. They are for sure in my ultimate lineup. So I have Dak Prescott, I have Jonathan Taylor, Bijan Robinson, Jackson Smith-Njigba. Again, I think Devontae Adams is going to have a big week with no Puka. Trey McBride, and then Josh Jacobs against Arizona, I think is a possible big week. I like Chase McLaughlin just because I think there's going to be a lot of points in that Tampa Bay Detroit game. And then the Patriots defense, I think, going against Tennessee, and they just fired their coach. And, you have Cam Ward struggling a little bit, only 10 points last week. So that's why I like the team that I have in my ultimate lineup. Ryan, I'll go ahead and let you explain who you decided to go with this week.
Yeah, I mean, I think Bucks Lions is going to be a fun game and a lot of points scored. I think the Lions are going to be make a concerted effort to get the run game going after what happened in Kansas City, where they kind of drifted away from that, and they need to get back to what their bread and butter is, which is Gibbs, Montgomery. I guess the only fear is Montgomery stealing any goal line carries from Gibbs, but Gibbs is so dynamic that he makes the cut for me this week, as does Baker. Baker has been showing every week why he deserves to be in the MVP conversation. So I like him to continue that run. I'm big on Jettas this week, man. I think as crazy as that sounds, I mean, if it is Wentz, I think he's gonna, a little revenge kind of game. The Eagles secondary, they've been giving up a lot of yards to some big time guys, and the Vikings are at home coming off a bye, and he's the best wide receiver in the NFL. So yeah, that alone, I'm just putting him on there. And then Nico, I really like what I saw in Houston recently. They had bye week last week, right? I think, but the week prior, definitely trying to get Nico the ball some more, and CJ Stroud looked like he was all the way back. So I like Nico Collins this week as well. Then other than that, we match on tight end again this week as we did last week. And then you got Bijan, I got Bijan, and kickers and defense are just are what they are. Brandon Aubrey, I think that'll be a high scoring game. So that's why I take him. And I think the Broncos defense, we already touched on it, just lead the league in sacks, and they show out pretty good, and they got a matchup this week against rookie quarterback. So I like the Broncos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's another really good lineup. Again, we got some comparables with Jonathan Taylor. I made the mistake last week. I didn't this week, and including Bijan Robinson in there. And then, of course, we're back on the McBride train again together. Tight end each week. Now we've been on the same page as far as tight ends go. So now we don't tell each other our fantasy, our ultimate week lineups. So right before is actually where we share our lineups. So it's kind of funny. For the most part, and that just means, hey, great minds think alike. We're having some of the same ones. I mean, it's kind of hard to not pick Taylor right now. Bijan coming off the big games, and then just Trey McBride is getting so many targets. Brock Bowers is out. So I mean, even last week we didn't go with McBride. We went with Ferguson. We ended up hitting on that one a little bit, but I think 2 good lineups again, where it's going to be interesting coming down to the wire for us for sure. So we do have some questions out here, and I'm going to go to Slapski first. Marcus Soto. Yeah, Marcus Soto, you did ask a question. I did send a message in here. Can you let us know if that is a redraft? And if you guys ask questions, please let us know if you got a redraft league, if it's a dynasty, because those do matter with some of the questions, or if they're a keeper league, or as much as you can tell us, that does help. So Slavsky says Rico for Ferguson. So
No.
Rico Dowdle for Ferguson, it really gonna depend. So if Ferguson is your starting tight end, I don't like that because Chuba Hubbard is probably going to be coming back. So there's that.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I think Rico's kind of in the same situation that Cam Scadwood is right now, where he took that job and proved why he should have it. So I think he's going to be the number one back in that backfield. And that being said, I would never trade a number one back who's getting 70% or more of the carries for a tight end. So I'd say no.
Yep. So he's in a half PPR, 2 flex, and then he kind of gave us his lineup that he has right now. May, Bijan, Janty. He's got CD, JSN. Okay, Dowdle. Bench, he's got Fields, Marks, Tutton, Golden, Ibuka, Theo. He would be giving Rico to get Ferguson. Oh,
yeah.
Well, that changes things then. For you, I think that is a good trade. Now, the thing that's maybe concerning is just with what you have on the bench. So yeah, I mean, I think that helps you for sure in your tight end spot. So I mean,
yeah, I don't know.
If it was the other way around, I like getting Ferguson because I would rather have that over.
I think if you're looking to make a move like that or similar, just because you have a fairly big bench, where if you're not really starting Dowdle, but then I think there's a better deal out there for you. Is all I'm saying. So I mean I wouldn't make that trade even if Dowdle is on my bench. And honestly, there's going to be matchups where you're going to like Dowdle more than Genty, and you're going to like Dowdle even maybe more than Bill. So I think he's too valuable to give him up for a tight end, especially with CeeDee Lamb coming back. I mean, I know that Dallas throws the ball a ton, but I don't know. Still, I just think he's too valuable to give up for a tight end.
Do you think Chuba Hubbard gets the starting spot back?
No, I think kind of same thing that happened in New York. I think that Dowdle's just proven that he's the number one.
I don't know, man. Chuba Hubbard had a whole season last year where he was really damn good.
Tyrone Tracy had this whole season last year where he was damn good, and Scadaboo came out. I'm just saying, like he's you don't know if
Tracy was like that,
dude. He was crushing it, man. Go back and look. He was probably by the end of the season, he was probably top 15 fantasy running back. I don't know. I mean, I'm pulling that number out of thin air because I have no idea for sure.
Yeah. Even if they go to like a split back situation, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think
Rico's looks so good.
Probably,
man.
Yeah, I think they probably ride with Dowdle here for a couple games here. But if he has a down game, that's the opening for Hubbard to come right back in, or goes into a split situation where that's not ideal, maybe even for both backs.
Yeah.
But I do like the opportunity to upgrade your tight end from Hutton to go to Ferguson. I think that's absolutely a huge upgrade if you don't think that Dowdle is going to remain the starter. If you think Dowdle is going to remain the starter, like Ryan's saying, then yeah, absolutely you keep Dowdle. Then it's a bad trade. But if you think Hubbard's going to get his spot back where it turns into a split situation, and you don't need Dowdle to start.
I don't make the trade no matter what. I think that you can probably get more for him. Maybe in like a 2-for-1 or something. But no. Yeah, I think that that he's too valuable. You could probably get more than just Jake Ferguson for Dowdle.
Yeah. So Slavsky, the answer to your question, Ryan saying that he would not make the trade. And for me, if you're not starting Rico, I would say yes, you make the trade. If you're not needing to start Rico and you upgrade your tight end starting position.
Thanks, Slapsky. Now you got us fighting over here.
We do have another question from. I'll go back to Marcus. He didn't really clarify what type of league he's in. But Marcus says he's 5-1 right now in a full PPR. He's got May, Love, and for running backs, he's got A-Chain, Bucky, Jacobs, Woody. And for wide receiver, he's got JSN, Garrett Pickens, and Shaheed, and tight end, Kittle, Fannin. He's just looking for different trade ideas. Now, I don't know if it's a redraft, and I was trying to find out if it's a redraft or a dynasty. So, I mean,
Yeah.
that's a little bit more difficult, and I don't know how many he can start. But obviously, Garrett's hurt, so it makes it a little bit more difficult to trade Garrett right now.
I also like Garrett
Mhm.
the rest of the year, so I don't know that it depends on what someone wants to offer you for him, but I think his current value is not what his value will be in a few weeks. So
Sure.
I hold on to him for now. I mean, I guess I don't know. Pickens probably would be my trade. The guy I would try to trade, but what you're gonna get for him, I don't know if you can get like a Buka or something. Maybe I don't know. You might have to you might need like a Pickens and Kittle for a Buka and a lesser tight end or something like that. But I could see something like that maybe being a good trade. I just, when with CD coming back, I don't think Pickens' value is going to get any higher than it is right now.
Yeah, I mean, if you could possibly even package Woody Marks in Pickens for something,
Yeah.
That could be something that maybe gives you a little bit of an upgrade. I mean, Bucky is hurt right now. When he comes back, I mean, that's big for you, but maybe you can trade Woody and Pickens for another starting receiver that's going to help you bulk up the starting three. So Garrett being hurt and Shaheed being the boom and bust type of receiver he is, he's not really consistent week in, week out. I would try to find a different receiver that can maybe be that at least consistent target getter for you.
Yeah.
Over
and also you're
Shaheed.
5-1, so I mean, just be careful. Like you don't want to we all want to tweak and get the best possible lineup you can, but you got to be careful too. So make sure you just you really review any trades that you may or may not make before you get too excited. Like things are going well. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
The other one I would do is maybe Woody and Shaheed. You package that for something that's a smaller upgrade on your receiver piece.
Yeah, keep your core. So, I mean, A-Chain's been just a monster as far as getting the ball. He touches the ball a ton. Bucky was crushing it before he got hurt, so I don't get rid of him. And JSN's been the number one wide receiver in fantasy, so I don't touch him for sure.
I don't think that I trade Kittle. I think you can maybe look at trading Kittle depending on what happens in Cleveland. So there are talks about Njoku being traded, and if he gets traded now, Fannin's already getting a lot of receptions right now. And if Njoku is traded, that's only going to increase for Fannin. So then you can maybe look at something like that for Kittle, who's getting a little bit older. Now, this is something that I'll put out to you. So this isn't a trade question that we were asked, but just trying to maybe get the feel of what you're thinking, Ryan. George Kittle. So we've seen about 4 or 5 weeks, 5 weeks of Jake Tongas now. What are your thoughts? Now, Tongas, I believe he was with the Bears before going to the Niners. and just couldn't get on the field. He goes to the Niners. He wasn't even supposed to be the backup for George Kittle. And lo and behold, they kind of find a hidden gem. George Kittle's 32 years old. And I think if you're in dynasty leagues, I would be hesitant on if you have Jake Tongas, I would be hesitant in giving him up. I would maybe try to stash him if you can.
Yeah, I mean,
What are your
usually,
thoughts?
in dynasty leagues, yeah, I can. I mean, I see that there's usually so many roster spots in a dynasty league that someone like that has definitely earned a stash ability. But
Mhm.
but I mean, overall, like what's Kittle's contract? I mean, he's the highest paid tight end in the league. I don't see him coming off the field for one snap less than he normally would be once he's healthy, just because Thomas has looked good. I mean, Kittle is
You know,
the
yeah,
guy, and I
he
don't
just
think
signed a
any.
4-year extension in
That's
in
what I'm
April.
saying. Yeah.
But
So
if you know that you have Jake Tongas, I mean,
yeah, well, I mean,
it,
honestly, and if anything else, like he could be good trade capital for the Niners in the offseason, which could lead to you know, some good production out of Tonga somewhere else. But
mhm,
again, I don't really think that he's gonna start taking away any touches from Kittle anytime soon once Kittle's back.
sure. And I don't know how much of that 4 year is guaranteed. Um, there's 40 million in guarantees on there.
Quite a bit, yeah.
Um,
He's
you
I think
know,
highest paid tight end in NFL history.
yeah. So I mean, that might make him tough to trade, but maybe there's somebody that's a piece away that ends up being the trade candidate. I just think if you're the Niners and now you got Brock Purdy to a contract,
Hmm.
and you find a hidden gem like a Jake Tongas, undrafted, guy that he can. Now, I'm not saying he can do all the things that George Kittle can do.
Hmm.
Um, he's not the type of blocker that George Kittle can be. But as far as a pass catching tight end, he's a 6'4" guy
Yeah.
that we've seen him be impressive, especially in the red zone. He's got I think he's got four or five touchdowns now in the year, and just an impressive showing from an undrafted guy that was really a no-namer,
Right.
coming in a huge spot for a team that needed uh, receiver tight end depth after really losing everyone. And we look at the train wreck that Brandon Ayuk has been. That team is, they're strapped salary cap wise in a few different players that may not even be on the team. You know, in the coming future with like a Brock Purdy, Mac Jones situation that's possibly brewing here in
Yeah.
2 years. Brandon Ayuk, they just gave him last year a 4-year deal. I think 30 million a year roughly that they gave for him, and now he's unhappy
Yeah,
already.
it's crazy.
And
I know.
he
You
hasn't even
just
been on
got to
the
cut
field
him,
this year.
cut or trade him. Just like end it. Enough is enough.
But who wants that?
I mean, no one. That's the problem. It's like I don't understand. He was unhappy so long ago. You should have just traded him then. But now it's too late. So whatever. Now you're gonna be stuck with something.
Hmm,
If you trade him, you'll probably have to eat some. You'll probably have to eat some of some of the contract for sure. And then if you release him, it's gonna be a huge dead cap hit. So you're gonna be paying a lot of money no matter what. You're kind of in a crappy spot. But yeah, I mean, I think the Niners are in a really good spot when it comes to the tight end position. It's good to have a lot of different options. It's just I don't, Kittle's gonna be the one running the routes. So
absolutely. Well, we've had a really good show so far. Week 7, it's been a long show, but week 7, a lot of stuff to cover, a lot of good stuff. Hopefully, you guys like Ryan and I doing our best bets and ultimate lineup, different segments that we have. We appreciate all your guys' questions on your sit starts and your trades. Please keep them coming every week. You can usually find us about the same time every Wednesday at 9:30 Central, 10:30 Eastern. So make sure that you're joining us every week for the Fantasy 15. Like I said, if you're not already following us at Fantasy 15 FB on X, or follow us on YouTube, you can just check us out, Fantasy 15 Football. And then also on Spotify after this, I'll be uploading this episode onto Spotify. Please make sure that you're following us, liking us, and helping to support our fantasy football, stuff that we're putting out. So definitely appreciate you guys joining us and watching the video that we have for you this week. So join us again next week for week 8. Hopefully I go 3-0. We'll see in the ultimate draft, and we'll see with the best bets and our spreads and our over unders how Ryan and I do. Again, those are what we would like to bet on, not what we're telling you to bet on. And just thanks again. Join Ryan. I think Ryan's going to be with us on Saturday. You going to be on the pregame on Saturday
Yes.
for Viking Central? Okay. So those of you that are Vikings fans out here on Viking Central, we actually have a pretty cool show coming up for our pregame show. It'll be at 9 o'clock on Saturday. And I will actually have a guest, a friend of mine, an Eagles fan, that's going to be joining us. I just Ryan, like a little twinge, Eagles, right? So, kind of a fun thing. He's going to come on. He's going to talk about what he thinks are the keys of the game. Maybe get razzed a little bit, but
I'm gonna let him have it. So just tell him buckle up, because I mean,
yeah.
What is it with Philly? Like, seriously, and if anyone out in Philadelphia can answer this to me, you guys think you're this tough city? Oh my gosh! But I'm gonna tell you right now, you're just not. It's not that tough of a city. It's not like this crazy. Like, I've been to Philly. Like, you get just guys homeless dudes walking down the street with crack needles in the back of their ear, and I don't know. You're not that tough, okay?
So I think Philly doesn't. Philly just. I feel like their fans just kind of. At least in Philly, kind of treat their visiting fans pretty rough. And not saying that we don't, but not to the level that it seems like Philly does, especially if you're visiting there. But when it comes to fan hate, I think Vikings fans, especially because of what happened in 09.
In the Super
Sorry,
Bowl in
sorry, not 09,
2017.
in 17. Sorry, in 17.
Yeah.
Because of what happened in 17, I think there's a little bit more angst on the Viking side of it than there is with the Eagles. So, and
There's a
it always
question.
seems like we have to play them there seemingly all the
Not this
time
week.
too. So
Wait, we're
I
at
think
home this week.
we are, yep. So I think there's a little bit more angst there. And then we'll also be having Coach Josh Jones joining us as well. So Coach Josh Jones is actually the cornerbacks coach for the San Antonio Brahmas, UFL team. So he's planning to join us as well to do a little bit of breakdown and analysis leading up to the Vikings Eagles. He was also in training camp as a defensive coach for the Green Bay Packers this offseason as well too. So we might have
why
him on.
Jalen Hurts sucks so bad.
We can have him on as it gets a little bit closer to maybe talk about Packers week as well. Maybe some inside stuff that we can gain from him that he saw in the off season as well. But Coach Josh Jones, he's a friend of mine. He's going to come on and actually give us a little bit of analysis on maybe what we're doing on the defensive side of the ball, especially in the cornerback position. And maybe we can take a look at maybe what Philly's going to try to do with us with their receiver and their offense standpoint. So join us again Saturday at 9 o'clock for our Viking Central pregame show, Vikings Eagles. That's upcoming for their Sunday noon game. So, Ryan, you got anything else to add?
Question to think about. Every city in America gets in a fight. What city comes out on top? It's definitely not Philadelphia, I'll tell you that.
You know what? Ryan, I hope that you bring that as well with you. Now, during these Jeremy's expecting a little bit a razzing when he comes on, especially, but definitely do appreciate him coming on. Kind of share his perspective of the Eagles, but we hope that Jeremy goes away from that game on Sunday, which we may or may not be watching together. We'll see. But I hope he has a bad day Sunday. So
Yeah, me too.
he may be a friend, but I'm hoping he has a bad day, at least for the game, come Sunday. So
I think it'd be Miami, by the way.
What's that?
Miami. I think
think-
Miami wins that fight.
You think Miami does? I don't
Mhm.
know. They're kind of soft down in Miami, aren't they?
Dude, it's like the UFC.
I'm just giving you crap.
I'm not from Miami. I'm not even. I don't even like Miami. I can't stand Miami.
So if you guys don't know,
it's-
Ryan's from the Florida area, so I'm
Yeah.
just giving him razzing him a little bit.
I'm just saying,
I
those
mean-
guys. It's like the UFC capital of the United States. So it's just a bunch of fighters down there, man.
Yeah, well, we'll
Remember
see what
Kimbo
happens. But,
Slice?
yep.
There's it's the entire city full of those kind of dudes.
Well, we'll see who wins the fight come Sunday at noon. I hope it's the Minnesota Vikings that come out on top. Hopefully not fist fights in the stands, but just the good football fight on the field that goes down. So I hope we come out on top that battle, and hopefully we can shut up those Philadelphia fans for at least a week
Oh, that'd be
after a Sunday win. So for Ryan and for me, Steve, please make sure go ahead and follow Ryan out on X, and then my handle is on me as well, Steve Hoykla, and then make sure that you're following us on Vike Central on X, on YouTube and everything else. We're powered there. We're also on there for Vike Central. But catch us on Saturday at 9:30, or sorry, at 9 p.m. Central Time. For our pregame show. Thanks for joining us on the Fantasy 15. Good luck with your fantasy football lineups this week. Hope you get the win. Thanks again for joining us. Have a great week,
Thanks.
everyone.